After a year of uncertainty, unknowns, and the unexpected, we find ourselves floating in more uncertainty, unknowns, and the unexpected. Without the end in sight, what is produced inside of us is an ambiguous sense of feeling okay. When you say that we live in the new normal, must we also normalize our stress, anxiety, and worry? We hope not. If I were to ask you how you've managed to cope during the pandemic, perhaps some of you will suggest praying, breath work, mindfulness, meditation, growing plants, raising pets, eating healthy, moderate exercise, adequate sleep, etc. What else can we add to our backpacks as our families gain more protective factors in dealing with the psychological and mental health issues behind COVID 19? We at our Peaceful Classroom propose mindful ways of loving our families through the five love languages. Hello, everyone. My name is Gail Reyes Galang, and welcome to our Peaceful Classroom. Our Peaceful Classroom is a dedicated space where parents, educators, and other professionals come together to talk about ideas on how to promote positivity and peace in the lives of our children and teens. Today, Father John Thomas and Ms. Mayang Pascual will walk us through the five love languages. The five love languages is not a new framework, and many of you may have heard about this before. The love languages concept was created by Gary Chapman, a renowned marriage counselor. After 20 years of helping married couples salvage their relationships, he realized that as people come in all shapes and sizes, so does their personal choice of expressing love. According to Dr. Chapman, there are five love languages: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. Having said that, let me talk a bit about physical touch. You see, when my kids were younger, physical touch was our primary love language. It is natural for mothers to do so because when we give birth, our bodies release a large amount of oxytocin during labor and later on when we nurse our babies. This is also the same hormone released during lovemaking. No wonder it is also called the love hormone. Physical touch is a key factor in the bonds between parents and children, and later on in their loving relationships with others. Kissing, hugging, stroking, a gentle pat on the back, and physical closeness are common manifestations of this love language. Many kids express their love language through touch. My kids and I love to hug and cuddle. We like holding hands in public and for a time co-sleeping until they were the ages of 10 and 12. You might think that hugging or kissing is a mere ritual, but it impacts on trust, empathy, bonding, formation of memories, and it helps children feel a sense of calm and security. And this sense of calm and security is something that they bring with them as they expand their social connections with others. Since my kids are used to being hugged by family, including extended family and close friends, And since they are allowed to be smothered playfully by pets, I find that they have become more sociable, open, and genuinely interested in extending their hands in helping others, particularly those who are in need. While it is natural for mothers to hug children, imagine the therapeutic and positive long term effects if our fathers would also be able to hug their children as means of showing love and support. However, there is a caveat on touch. It must be done appropriately considering time, place, and manner. It should be more to convey, I care about you, I'm with you, and I love you. We must also take it upon ourselves to educate our kids on inappropriate ways of being touched or touching others, to say no or to run away from any form of touch that may feel uncomfortable, and to report this to someone they trust. Now, let's listen to Father John Thomas and Miss Mayang Pascual as they share their ideas about how to love our kids with the five love languages. And we are very grateful that today we have two speakers from the Family Studies program. Okay, Father John. Father John Thomas is from South India, from the state of Kerala, and now he is with us in the Family Studies program. He's taking his PhD, but he does have an MA in sociology. Before coming to the Philippines, he worked in North India in a mission diocese, the Archdiocese of Bhopal. Okay, and now he's doing his ministry in the Diocese of Cubao in Our Lady of Perpetual Help. And he has been a priest for 13 years. So Father John, thank you for being with us. And after Father John speaks, we are also delighted to have an alumna from the Family Studies program. We have Miss Mayang Pascual, and she is a graduate of the Child and Family Studies in Miriam College. She has a diploma in pastoral counseling from the Ateneo Center for Family Ministry. And Mayang is a senior financial advisor and agency leader of Manulife Philippines. You know, Mayang is a busy mom with 5 kids. And so she'll be happy to share also of how she tries to manage all these love languages of her kids who are different in many ways. So let's begin. So remember to use your chat box, and we'll see you again in a bit. Father John.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for that introduction. And once again, good afternoon to all of you, all the participants. Now, as you're already told, our topic is how to love our kids using the 5 love languages. You know, as it is shown here, your child is a precious gift from God, entrusted to you to love and to care for, not to abuse, not to neglect. That is our call given by God as parents. Now, some of you may think, we'll go to the next, some of you may think whether we, the parents, should be taught on how to love our own children. Now, it's a question that may arrive, but it's always good to get some reminders, even though no problem manifests at the moment. As it said, it's good to check the fuel tank of a car to see for the journey of our life whether sufficient fuel of love is there. It could be for our kids or for anyone. So it's always good for a check of our own life. So let's begin with the session checking our own life whether we have sufficient love as fuel for our journey. Now, we are speaking about 5 love languages, how we will be loving our or how we can love better way using the five love languages. Before that, it's always good, like we know, the first and best part of any treatment is diagnosing the disease. Unless and until we diagnose what our disease is, we can never be well treated. And so, first of all, let us know which are the factors that stops us from loving our kids or making our love known to our kids. So, in order to know that, we should know there are six kinds of parents, and we may be falling, need not necessarily, of course, we may be falling in one or two of those categories, which could be a cause for the failure of our love towards our children. You know, the first one is the disturbed parents. The disturbed parents are filled with distractions to love their children. This distraction could be, like any temporary problem in the relation between the life partners, or it could be some problems, in your job, working place, or it could be some family problem, any whatever may be. If you are a disturbed parent, you will fail to love your children. We'll go into the next. Next is depressed parents. These have a connection. A disturbed parents can be a depressed person, but then depression comes, as we know, due to any severe or small mental disturbances. So if we fall into that category of depressed parents, or in other way, if we are depressed of anything, for example, now due to the pandemic, we know people are undergoing a lot of depression, or due to any reason, if you are undergoing depression, you will be emotionally empty to love your children. So we have to check, am I depressed, or my depression affecting my children and their love? And let's go to the next, the angry parents. I'm sure majority of you are not so, but we know there are some people who are angry by nature. For anything and everything, they're angry. And easy way to show our anger is towards our children, because the reaction is comparatively very less. If you show your anger in your working place or to your boss, it's not, you will get in return very badly then and there. But so if you show to your children, still you will get it. May not be then and there, but in future. But then, so we have to be careful whether I'm an angry person. In my parenting, am I using a lot of anger to control my children? Instead of controlling them with love, am I trying to control them with anger? We have to check. We'll go into the next. This one is the narcissistic parents. People, or the people who are self-conscious, or value their own self-worth too much, or so much so that they neglect others, very especially their children. They only love their children when the children add to their value, self-worth. For example, if your children say, "Mom, you look very beautiful," or "Dad, you are doing well," only such times you value them, or you love them, or you show your love towards them. All other times, these kinds of parents will fail to show their love. So we have to see whether we fall into that category of people who are more into selfish, self-love. That we have to check. Okay, well, let's go into the next. Other category of parents are controlling parents. They love their children only when the children do what the parents really wanted. In other words, you will be always telling your children, do this, do that, get up, sit down, all those things. It will be, everything will be done at your command. If you are doing so, I'm not telling you are doing, but if we fall into that category, at any cost, you will never be able to love your children, or you will be able to show your love only when they are obedient to you. Otherwise, you as parents will fail to show the real love towards your children. Let's go to the next, the last one is the preferential parents. There are some parents who are very preferential. They will love, suppose you have got 5 children, they will love maybe one or two. All are not equally loved, but all the attention and love is shown to only the selected one or two. In that case, others are neglected. In case if we fall into that category, we are also failing to love all children, but they will be only loving only the favored one or two, whatever may be. So we have to be careful whether I fall into that category of parents, preferential parents. Am I selecting one of my children, in loving, in giving gift or giving attraction, or always taking with me for a journey and so on. If you do so, you will be falling in the category of the preferential parents, where you fail to love all your children. Let's go to the next. Now now having gone through all these 6 categories of parents, we have to evaluate and see whether, in case, I don't say you are all in that, no, but in case somewhere we fall into that, then we have to come out of that. And for that, we will mainly use the 5 love languages. But before that, we will touch one or two truth. As parents, we should know, for your children, education for your children is not only from school, but your life is the best education that your children can get, and you are the best teachers of your children. Parents should always keep in mind this fact. You, parents, you are the best teachers for your children. Now, I am reminded of a small little story. The story goes, I will speed up since we are running short of time. The story goes like this. Once a gentleman's father was sick, so he was admitted in the school, in the hospital. So this gentleman took leave from his office, came and picked his father, brought to the school, sorry, to the hospital, and having admitted him, he goes to the school of his child, his kid, and brings his kid to the hospital. Then the father asks, "Why are you bringing your children, your child to the hospital?" Then this gentleman says, this kid should see how I am taking care of my father. He should learn from me how I take care of my father in the hospital, leaving my job. So I'm taking my kid from the school to the hospital to show what I am doing to care for my father. Yes, my dear parents, you are the best teachers of your children. Your children learn from you. Let's go to the next. Okay, now come out of this problem. These 6 categories we have already seen. First thing, we have to becoming aware of our ego, and if we can come out of that egocentric life, we will be able to love our children. So we should see whether I'm an egocentric person, that so that I fail to give attention and love to my children. Let's go to the next. Okay, we'll go to the next. First one we saw egocentrism. We have to come out of that. Second is getting unstuck of the problems. There will be maybe relational problems or egocentric problems or over ambition. That I know you have over ambition of your own life or over ambitious about your own children. All these things will get you stuck in the journey of your life. So another important fact is getting unstuck. Okay, we'll go into uh, the next. Now we will see how to come out of this problem, the problems of relation, all those things. Now to come out of all this problem, maybe egocentrism, or we are getting stuck with one or the any other problem, relational problem or problem at job or economical problem, any problem, how to come out of it. In order to come out of these problems or in order to unstuck ourselves, we should believe in two things. One thing we should always keep in mind, that you will reap what you sow. Now what you plant from or what you sow, only that you can reap. That's in our life also. When you bring up your children, what you sow in them, if you sow in them love, you will reap love back. If you sow hatred, you will be getting that back. If you neglect them, you will be neglected when you are a senior person, when you need their help. So we should know this thing, that you will reap what you sow. Then other thing is, uh, you know other important factor of life, as Jesus says, eat what is set before you. We'll go into the next, where we are going to explain about it, the next clip. Yes. First one already, already I told, since we are running short of time. First one already I said, that we will reap what you are you know sowing. That is sure. The second one is, eat what is set before you. It's a beautiful word of Jesus when he was sending his the people, the disciples out. He was telling about this. He was telling, eat what is set before you. For you and me, it is accepting the life as it comes. Sometimes we are getting stuck with comparing our life with others, comparing your life partner with the previous person you had in your love, maybe your first lover, or you are comparing your life with your neighbors or with your brothers or sisters, life. So if you are doing all those things, you are getting stuck. So in order to come out of, in order to unstuck yourselves, you should know, my life is given by my God to eat what is set before me, or take the life as it comes, or accept the life as it comes, enjoy, live it. Let's go to the next. Okay, we'll go into the next. Yes, now we are coming to our point. The second part, the five love languages by which we will be able to better express our love towards our children, or better love our children, or in other words, we are sowing well or planting well, so that you will reap well, from your life. Now it's said up, when we speak about five love languages, it is said, and words of affirmation is 23 percentage, quality time you spend is 20 percentage, acts of service 20, physical touch 19 percentage, and giving or receiving gifts 18 percentage. We'll see one by one. Okay, first love language is words of affirmation. When you say to your child, time and again, I love you, or when they are doing something good, you are doing well, words of appreciation, or verbal encouragement, you can do it well. All such kinds of words of affirmation is one of the five love languages by which you can show your love and affection towards your children. We'll go to the next. Second is quality time, the time you spend with your children. It's not that you are watching maybe a TV program and your child is somewhere around there, you are in your home. That is not quality time. Quality time means you are spending exclusively time with your child. Maybe playing with child, talking or discussing something. Anyhow, you are spending exclusively time with your child or children, that they feel that you are with them. That is second love language, spending quality time. We will go into the third one. That is act of service. When you do some service to your children, we know, you being parents, you always help children the works they cannot do. But even there will be some works they can do, but you do it out of your love and concern. Sometime, for example, if your child who is studying in grade 10 can iron her her own clothes or can wash, but sometimes you wash as a surprise, you know, job you are doing, and wash and keep. When the child come to take this, it's already that work is done for her by you. So showing some kind of acts of service to show your love, doing these kinds of works, you can show that you really love them through this love language of acts of service. Let's go into the fourth one. This, of course, giving gifts. When you maybe on when they are successful in doing something, maybe a small thing, and getting the good grade in the school, or on their birthday, or any day, if it's not that usually you bring a gift and give like that, but not knowing well this child will love it, and this child should feel it was exclusively brought for me, it's of my use, and so on. So when you present the child with some kind of gifts that will exclusively show your love, you are showing your love through the language of gift. That is the fourth love language. We'll go to the last one. That's physical touch. This time, this now, not in this pandemic time. Otherwise, people are always very busy. They don't, when they rush to the office or anywhere, they have no time even to touch their children, ask how they are, and so on. But take time, to feel to feel appreciated when they are hugged, kissed. So you take time, show your appreciation and love with your physical touch for your children, very especially when they're little grown up. When the children are very small, we always take them and so on. But when the children are teenagers, we somehow lose the touch with the children. We think they are now grown up and independent and so on. But always remember, your children are yours. They are always your children. So always keep that the body touch of affection, the warmth and comfort that they can get through your touch. That is one of the important love languages by which you can show your love to your children and any loved one. We'll go into the next clip. Yes, the bottom line is love languages are useful tool to improve how we communicate and express ourselves to each other, but they should be the be all and end all solution for happiness. Instead, they should not be, okay. Instead, it should be function as a starting point. In other words, these love languages, you don't think I'm doing all these five things, so I'm doing well, or I have done everything well. No, it's not that. It should be the beginning stage, or starting to express your love in a better way, but then it should go beyond all these five love languages. Okay, we'll go into the next. As a conclusion, we can say the moment you begin to love your life instead of selfish self love, you will experience the real beauty of love, the beauty of life. Start love your life instead of loving yourself so selfishly, then you will really enjoy the beauty of life. And we should keep in our mind the aim of our life is not only achieving something or becoming someone, rather, it is becoming the best of you, the best of me. And that is the stage where you take up your call given by our Lord Jesus. It is an unending journey with Him. So let's start our love and our life journey with loving the life in which everyone is included, very especially your children. And I wish you all the last this one, a happy family life. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father John. Thank you for your sharing. And as a parent, I learned a lot also from your talk, and I was also guilty of some of the things that you mentioned. So we are 70 now in this Zoom meeting. And for those who were late and were not able to catch what Father John said, he talked about five kinds of parents who are unable to love their children. So these are the parents who would be disturbed because they have some problems with their other relationships or other big problems, or they could be depressed or anxious about many things. Some parents are angry. Some parents may be narcissistic, only thinking of themselves. And if they do love their kids, it's because their kids give them additional glory. Or some parents can also be controlling, and some parents are have preferential treatment for maybe other kids in their family. And so the takeaway there is to really watch our ego, be very mindful to avoid getting stuck, and to reap what we sow. So if we listen, our children will listen, and to accept life as it is, to be always grateful. So now we will have Mayang. Thank you, Father. And Father will not be staying with us because he has a mass at 5 o'clock. But thank you very much. And now we'll have a reaction from a parent herself. Mayang, can you give us
Yes.
your insights about Father's talk on the five love languages?
Oh, yes. Happily. I'd love to do that. And first of all, thank you, Father John Thomas, for first of all, the very interesting talk on the parents' inability to love their children. And then next you gave them actually solutions to their problem by telling them, hey, you can learn to love your children by using the five love languages to express your love to them and care for them in that way. And you really got me thinking on your six types of parents who are unable to love their children, because I also got to thinking about what about those parents who are addicted, in terms of chemical, alcohol, or are abusive to their children or have been abused themselves when they were with children. So they come into this very disturbed type of person already when they become parents. Also, you're talking about parents who are depressed and who are emotionally empty. When you said, at the start that we should think about this as a way of checking, like a car. When you go on a journey, you have to have your car checked. With the love language, we use the metaphor of an empty love tank. So maybe those parents also run on empty of love themselves, and that's why they cannot give love to their children, because they're depressed, or maybe they are in a sense have a personality disorder. You're talking about manic depressive or bipolar. So these things, they probably are unaware that they have them, and so it's very difficult for them to really just be able to care for their children as well. And here you said angry parents. Well, most angry parents use abusive language to control. And not only that, they are physically abusive when they're angry. And let's be honest about it. We are always taught that using physical punishment is really the last thing you must do as a parent. But when you are angry, who has the right frame of mind? It's very, very reactionary, especially if you're not mindful and you're not very much aware of your own self. You really use physical punishment to just keep a child disciplined or quiet. So that's something to think about. Now, when you talk about narcissism, Father, it's really a personality disorder that they're sometimes not aware. And that really needs some intervention, very serious intervention as well, because it also can be a result of a relationship. When a person is narcissistic, I know that most couples who separate one of them or both of them are narcissists. So it really impacts the child because the relationship, deteriorates. They get divorced, they get separated. So that's really very, very serious. And then when we talk about controlling, and I could even add manipulative parents, they end up with children, I believe, that are weak and disempowered. They probably don't know how to decide for themselves when they grow up. They always would ask their parents, what is the right thing to do? Because they've never practiced how it is to, be free and be allowed to make mistakes and, be themselves. They always have to wear something that, the parents will be happy that they're so prim and proper and they follow and they're so obedient, but they're not the person who they are. So that's something also that we really should think about as parents. How much freedom or leeway are we allowing our to make mistakes? Preferential, or is there favoritism? What if the children will ask, well, it was asked of me, Mommy, who do you love more, me or Ruel, my son who has autism? And then my answer was, you know what? I love you longer than Ruel because Ruel's my youngest. So does that answer your question? And so he wasn't happy, but no parent will have to say, I love him, another child more than you. So get out of that question. Do not answer. So those were the thoughts that were coming to me while you were telling, you were sharing these types of parents. And also, there were a lot more, descriptions of other parents. But you already told them, you already said them, like the anxious and worrywarts, the distracted ones with too many outside activities and commitments. These are the things that sometimes we really need to balance. And then those are also we have to consider also the helicopter parents. Those are too focused on their children that they transfer their own self-esteem when their children are doing well and have academic achievements. So these things you got me thinking. And also that I'm able to see that the ones that you mentioned had certain personality disorders, such as the narcissistic parents, those with chemical imbalances, depression, and bipolar. And another of those sets have the result of family systems that are like they grew up in, like those with parents with chemical or drug or alcohol addictions, whose parents dealt with physical, verbal, emotional abuses. So these are very cyclical. They are passed on from family to family, from generation to generation. And then there are the families that have certain cultural, practices, like the favoritism. Sometimes, you can't help because you were favored, that you would want to also favor a child when you have your own child. You see, because they do what you say. So this is probably part of controlling as well. Now, aside from what you said, Father John, which is very, very on the spiritual plane, I'd like to also have parents consider that if they know of parents who have these types of behaviors or attitudes, that maybe they can they can seek medical intervention. They can seek counseling as a start. And by seeking professional help, there really be such a contribution to their children. A counselor also can refer people when they know that they have these personality disorders to a psychotherapist or psychiatrist to actually partner together for these things. So that's that part. Do I still have time, Gail? I'm not very sure now.
Yes,
Uh,
Mayang, and I also invite you to look at the sharings in our chat box
oh, okay.
because our wonderful parents have also been contributing their thoughts on the topic. And
Okay.
so some people are also adding to what are the other types of parents. No? So you have parents who are probably also very busy because of the pandemic, working from home, supporting the kids, being busy with work also, and all the chores that sometimes you really fail that quality time of sitting down with your kids and finding out what they're really interested in or really having that conversation. So it's something also to think about. And Father John, you want to add anything? Okay, you
Uh,
are Father John.
No, what I was just thinking what they were some of them were suggesting they are really true. Like busy parents. No, they are too busy with life. They sideline their children. That is really true. And two, three more comments I saw. They are all very true.
yeah. And I'd like to have the parents consider that um, you only need to take about 15 to 20 minutes of engagement with your child, interspersed throughout the day, not necessarily just 20 minutes, just one block, and you could do that. Parents, they have to be octopuses, with several tentacles going from kitchen to housework to office work and so on and so forth. But if you are able to intersperse attending to your child with like an activity or a conversation or just a hug. I just need a hug. My son who has autism would come here and he would say, I want a hug. So I would hug and even count to 10 seconds, just 10 seconds. And then I said, okay, now you go because I have an online meeting. But that he's happy after that. So those are the things. But you see, sometimes you wonder why 23% of people have words of affirmation. That's their highest. Why? Because it's the easiest to express. So even if you're busy, like, oh, anak, I love you, or anak, or sige ha, you take care now, or, even on the phone, every time you have a conversation on the phone, texting, loves you, or something like that. Very, very corny, but then and they'll say kadiri and all that stuff, but inside they love it. So, and the most important thing really is that you have to think of the 80-20 Pareto principle. The 20%, if you're able to focus on their love language, and how do you know that? I'll tell you in a minute. Then they will feel loved, so much love. Their self-esteem will go high up, and that 20 minutes 80% of their happiness and feeling of love is already given. Okay. So what did I say about? I'll talk about it later.
So
What's
Mayang, go ahead and you want, how do we know the love language of our child? Because sometimes it doesn't match. So you have an
right?
expectation, and you feel frustrated because you didn't get it, only to find out it's because your child has another love language. Can you talk about that
Language.
more?
Right, right. So it's so important that you know the love language. How do you know that? You ask them, okay, what is it that you like mom to do for you? Or what, like, what is it that you like? What is it that you love about our family, about your dad, about me? And most important, what is it that they're complaining about? Like, Ma, you're so busy. Why don't you just, not go to office on a Saturday? What? You're going to somewhere on a Sunday, but it's family day. So you know that it's quality time. Now, if a child would complain about the gift that you gave, then that's their that's their love language. Maybe you gave a gift because you like it and your child didn't like it. It's not their thing. So these the
Yes,
complaints.
so we pay attention to what they complain about, Mayang, right? So if the child says, "You never tell me that you love me," or "You never tell me that you're proud of me," so
Right.
maybe the love language of that child is
It's-
words of affirmation.
And then children with special needs, mostly I have a special child. So it's physical touch and quality time. I mean, when I surveyed, those were the two major ones that they like. Now, for others who are very verbal, maybe it's words of affirmation. That's enough for them. So give them that. Give them that in throughout the day, and they'll
And
be
I
fine.
think it's also important that you teach children a variety of ways to show love, so that when they become adults and they find their own partners, they would be able to adjust accordingly, and they'll not
Right.
stick to one love language because they know all, right? They were
Right.
exposed to all.
That's very true because I had a hard time giving the love language of my husband for like I've been married for 38 years, but it's only now that, like, okay, after so many years, acts of service, I'd always say, how can I give you acts of service when you don't give me quality time? How can that, like, how does that happen? But of course, it's a myth. Acts of service, I can wash his clothes, iron his clothes, uh, you know, fix his things without him being there. So it's really something that you need to express to your spouses and to your kids.
So,
How,
Mayang, I have a
uh,
question. Are all the love languages equal in weight?
no, no, they're not. That's why children have the primary and secondary love language. You have to look of the five, what's their primary and secondary, because that's how you can maximize loving them. Now, with when we grow up, we really like stick to a primary. And that's the 20% that if the child is given 20% of that, or an adult, your spouse, you give them 20% of that, oh, they'll be happy for throughout the day, or for years to come. That's how to love. And I'm very thankful with Dr. Chapman for putting that simply, because we all know these things, but we've never categorized it as such.
Thank you, Father John Thomas and Miss Mayang Pascual, for a very enlightening conversation about the five love languages as applied to our children and the rest of the family. Words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, physical touch, and receiving gifts are the five love languages according to Dr. Gary Chapman. When there is so much negativity, doubt, and insecurity going around in this pandemic, words of affirmation to praise is a way to build self worth. These verbal affections express positive regard and affirmation. Kind words exchanged with family members will be the same words our children will naturally convey to others, most especially after the pandemic. Quality time is another love language where we give our undivided attention. Find quality activities that will help you focus on your child and not the activity, but again, focusing on the child. This should include quality conversations where parents can speak with their children. Quality time conveys a message that you are important to me and that you are definitely worth my time. Acts of service is a love language that is freely given, whether it is cooking a meal for your spouse or child or teaching them to do the same for others, should be in the direction of loving kindness and not something that feels like an obligation. When children learn acts of kindness, helping others become natural to them later on in their lives. What about giving and receiving gifts? Though gifts are material, these are tangible evidence of emotional love. Gifts are symbols that have emotional value, and such value should weigh more than the price of the gift itself. When you receive a thoughtful gift, surely you feel emotionally touched as well. Which brings me to the last love language, physical touch. We need to produce happy hormones now more than ever. This is the best prescription to boost our immune system. So be mindful that whenever you hug a loved one within your safe bubble, you help release those oxytocins or the love hormones for you and your child or for you and your partner. Remember that it is a protective factor from COVID 19. As I close today's episode, I invite you to ask yourselves these questions as you reflect on your primary or secondary love language. Number one, how do you express love to family and friends? Number two, how would you want love to be expressed to you? And number three, how can you teach children to love others using the five love languages so that their love tanks are always full to receive and give love? Let me end with this quote. All relationships have one law. Never make the one you love feel alone, especially when you are there. That's all we have for today. This has been your friend, Gail Reyes Galang, inviting you to love more, to give more, and to be mindful about the ways we express our love to the people who need love the most. See you again in our sacred space, our peaceful classroom.